1. A young man from a small provincial town, a man without independent wealth, without powerful family connections, and without a university education, moves to London in the 1580s and, in a remarkably short time, becomes the greatest playwright not of his age alone but of all time. How is an achievement of this magnitude to be explained? How did Shakespeare become Shakespeare? 2. The brain is divided into its hemispheres by a prominent groove. At the base of this lies nerve fibers which enable these two halves of the brain to communicate with each other. But the left hemisphere usually controls movement and sensation in the right side of the body, while the right hemisphere similarly controls the left side of the body. 3. In the past, wars have led to inflation and higher commodity prices. Fighting disrupts trade and prevents raw materials from being shipped from one country to another. In Second World War Britain, a banana was the height of luxury. 4. For the executive students on that march, the work-life balance issue would have already seemed very real. While it is tough enough balancing professional life with family and friendships, having to study at the same time puts executive MBA students under even more pressure than their full-time counterparts. 5. Pick up any work of non-fiction. Without opening a book's cover, you already know a lot what's inside. You can reasonably expect to find a title page, table of contents, numbered pages, a body of text divided in chapters, and an index. 6. Few things in the world produce such amazement as one's first of clippers of the Grand Canyon. It took around more than 2 billion years to create this vast wonder, in some places 17 miles wide, largely through the relentless force of Colorado River, which runs 277 miles along its length, a mile beneath its towering rims. 7. For any marketing course that requires the development of a marketing plan, such as marketing management, marketing strategy and principles of marketing, this is the only planning handbook that guides students through step-by-step creation of a customized marketing plan while offering commercial software to aid in the process. 8. This is a new, accessible and engaging textbook written by academics who also work as consultants with organizations undergoing change. It offers a unique combination of rigorous theoretical exploration together with practical insights from working with those who are actually responsible for managing change. 9. Globalization refers to a set of changes rather than a single change. Many of these changes are social, cultural and political rather than purely economic, and one of the main drivers in addition to the global marketplace is the communications revolution. 10. The most obvious change is that 46% of the college's undergraduates are now women. When I went there, it was only the third year that women had been admitted, and about 70% of students were male.
11. Every morning, no matter how late he had been up, my father rose at 5:30, went to his study, wrote for a couple hours, made us all breakfast, read the paper with my mother and then went back to work for the rest of the morning. Many years passed before I realized that he did this for a living. 12. A scientist's evidence is thought to be reliable because it will have been tested and verified at every stage. This is not, of course, infallible, as scientists are subject to human error as much as the rest of us. 13. The beginning of the 21st century will be remembered, not for military conflicts or political events, but for a whole new age of globalization, a flattening of the world. The explosion of advanced technologies now means that suddenly knowledge pools and resources have connected all over the planet, leveling the playing field as never before. 14. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster. Think of the millions different media images you are bombarded with every day. It's as important now to be able to read and make sense of those images as it has been to be able to read ordinary text. 15. In classes, your teachers will talk about topics that you are studying. The information that they provide will be important for you to know when you take tests. You must be able to take good written notes from what your teachers say. 16. The semiconductor industry has been able to improve the performance of electric systems for more than 4 decades by making ever smaller devices. However, this approach will be soon encounter both scientific and technical limits. which is why the industry is exploring a number of alternative device technologies. 17. The main difference on this occasion was that the colonists were not just fighting against a king who was determined to use his own prerogative, they were also fighting against the parliament which believed that it should be alone should raise taxes and control revenues, rights which had been won in the previous century. 18. Along with all that they have in common, infants also show unique individual traits. Some are more active than others, some are more sociable, and some are more interested in the world around them. Infants early on show consistent differences in friendliness and anxiety level, which form part of their early character. 19. The terms voice and text are multifaceted. Both have a wide range of possible meanings in everyday speech and academic usage. You may encounter the two words used in a variety of ways, in connection with different subjects, and they won't always mean exactly the same thing. 20. Research indicates that more than 60% of customers are now willing to complain most of the time, a 10% increase in 5 years. 61% say they expect a telephone complaint to be resolved on the same day, compared to 51% in 2001.
21. Along with customary classes on subjects such as finance, accounting, and marketing, today's MBA students are enrolling on courses for environmental policy and stewardship. Indeed, more than half of business schools require a course in environmental sustainability or corporate social responsibility, according to a survey of 91 U.S. business schools, published in October 2005. 22. Pollution's devastating effects on the environment have become more obvious in recent years and have resulted in efforts to promote energy efficiency, less reliance on fossil fuels, and a reduction in air and water pollution. Most scientists agree that such changes are necessary to protect our environment from further harm. 23. While yellow is considered an optimistic color, people lose their tempers more often in yellow room, babies will cry more. It is the most difficult color for the eye to take in, so it can be overpowering if overused. 24. There are two basic theories of motivation: content theories and process theories. Content theories focus on what actually motivates people. They study the needs that must be satisfied in order for the employee to be motivated. The need is either satisfied by an extrinsic reward, for example, pay, or an intrinsic reward, for example, recognition and praise. 25. The University of Liverpool is one of the UK's leading universities. We are renowned for our teaching and research excellence. As one of Merseyside's largest employers, the university is a major source for innovation and plays a key role in the economic development of the region in terms of employment, skills, research and technology. 26. No known life of any kind exists on the moon, and it does not have any atmosphere, wind and water, although ice may be present at the bottom of a few shaded craters. Its sky is black all the time and stars are continuously visible. 27. The advantage of the great European and American orchestras is that they were able to establish their iconic status in an age when their identity could become entrenched. There was less competition and it was easier to create a brand. Not only did they have the best halls, they attracted the best musicians, who tended to stay put. 28. Pluto lost its official status as a planet when the International Astronomical Union downsized the solar system from 9 to 8 planets. Although there had been passionate debate at the General Assembly meeting about the definition of a planet, and whether Pluto met the specifications, the audience greeted the decision to exclude it with applause. 29. Extroverts tend to move quickly and try to influence situations directly, while introverts give themselves time to develop their insights before exposing them to the world. Extroverts are happy making decisions in the thick of events, while introvert wants to reflect before taking actions. 30. How quickly is the world population growing? In the United States and other developed countries, the current growth rate is very low. In the most developing countries, the human population is growing at the rate nearly 3 people per second. Because of this bursting growth rate, the human population is well on its way to reaching 9 billion within your lifetime.
31. Despite many similarities that literacy political debate in other nations, There are also ways in which the cultural and political situations in Scotland had left these studies of colleges' literatures in significantly different literacy conditions from that study in many other parts of the world. 32. Competence in mathematics was another trouble spot. More than half said that their real task schools graduates are deficient in mathematics. More than 10% of respondents said colleges graduates are deficient in the subject, while 70% said they are adequate. 33. Although it come from a remote region in the Himalayas, this plant now looks entirely at home on the banks of English rivers. Brought to the UK in 1839, it quickly escaped from colonized riverbanks and damp woodlands. Now it is spreading across Europe, New Zealand and Canada. In the Himalayas the plant is held in check by various pests and it grows and reproduces unhindered. 34. Weakness in electronics. Auto and gas station sales dragged down overall retail sales last month, but excluding those three categories, retailers enjoyed healthy increases across the board, according to government figures released Wednesday. Moreover, December sales numbers were also revised higher. 35. Domestication is an evolutionary, rather than a political development. They were more likely to survive and prosper in an alliance with humans than on their own. Humans provided the animals with food and protection, in exchange for which the animals provided the humans their milk and eggs and, yes, their flesh. 36. In the fast-changing world of modern healthcare, the job of a doctor is more and more like the job of a chief executive. The people who run hospitals and physicians' practices don't just need to know medicine. They must also be able to balance budgets, motivate a large and diverse staff and make difficult marketing and legal decisions. 37. Orientalists, like many other early 19th century thinkers, conceive of humanity either in large collective terms or in abstract generalities. Orientalists are neither interested in nor capable of discussing individuals, instead artificial entities predominate. They herd beneath very wide labels every possible variety of human plurality, reducing it in the process to collective abstractions. 38. It seems that language appeared from nowhere, since no other species has anything resembling human language. However, other animals do possess basic systems for perceiving and producing sounds that enable them to communicate. These systems may have been in place before the appearance of language. 39. It isn't rare for private equity houses to hire graduates fresh out of business school, but 9 times out of 10, the students who get these jobs are the ones who had private equity experience under their belt before even starting their MBA program. 40. Written by 3 eminent professors, it has been updated to reflect the shifts of sociological thought in the last 5 years, making it the most comprehensive, authoritative and contemporary dictionary available. It is essential reading for all students and teachers of sociology and other related courses, and also for the general reader.
41. Tesla's theoretical work formed the basic of modern alternating current electric power systems. Thomas Edison promised him almost $1 million in today's money to undertake motor and generator improvement. However, when Tesla unethic Serbs asked about the money, Edison replied Tesla, "You don't understand our American humor." The pair become arch rivals. 42. A study found that the research funded by the soft drinks industry have different results from research funded by other sources and went on to suggest that they may have been biased by the research itself. The whole point of the scientific methods is to ensure the research results are not influenced by the source of funding. 43. 2 sisters were at a dinner party when the conversation turned to upbringing. The elder sister started to say that her parents had been very strict and that she had been rather frightened of them. Her sister, younger by 2 years, interrupted in amazement. "What are you talking about?" she said. "Our parents were very lenient." 44. Student helps and counselor services including male and female staffs from a variety of backgrounds such as clinical, sociology, educational psychology, social work. All the counselors are trained at a master of doctoral level are registered with their professional organizations. 45. Exhilarating, exhausting and intense. There are just some of the words used to describe doing an MBA. Everyone's experience of doing MBA is, Of course, different through denying that it's hard and demanding work whichever course you do. MBA is one of fastest growing areas of studying in the UK, so that must be sustainable benefit against form in one pain. 46. How do you imagine of the unimaginable? If we ask you to think of an object, says the yellow tulip, a picture immediately form in our mind's eye. But what if we try to imagine the concept such as a square root of a negative number? 47. In Japanese tea ceremony, is a ritual-like formalism in which green tea you prepare and serve to multiple guests in a tea-full setting. The ceremony can take as long as 4 hours and there are many tradition gestures that the server and the guests must perform. 48. Akimbo. This must be one of the odder-looking words in the language and puzzles us in part because it doesn't seem to have any relatives. What's more, it is now virtually a fossil word, until recently almost invariably found in arms akimbo, a posture in which a person stands with hands on hips and elbows sharply bent outward, one that signals impatience, hostility or contempt. 49. The problem begins with the alphabet itself. Building a spelling system for English using letters that come from Latin, despite the two languages not sharing exactly the same set of sounds, is like building a playroom using an IKEA office set. 50. Modern buildings have to achieve certain performance requirements, at least to satisfy those of building codes, to provide a safe, healthy, and comfortable environment. However, these conditioned environments demand resources in energy and materials, which are both limited in supply, to build and operate.
51. 3 professors from Hamburg University's medical faculty traveled last month to Ingeborg's sitting room in East Berlin to test her on the work she carried out in pre-war Germany. 52. This finding is understandable in certain cases in spite of its high significance, that is because energy efficiency of building operation just represents a single aspect of sustainability. 53. The numbers on U.S. student debt, after all, are truly staggering. The average 2015 U.S. university graduate who took out loans to help pay for tuition enters the workforce with $35,000 in student debt. 54. The insults and criticism were not unexpected. What was surprising was people's enthusiasm about the competition. Thousands have participated in the discussion. 55. Who do you think is the most glamorous person? A biotechnologist who led his company in international research, an ordinary welder who gained international fame through his work, or a photographer complimented widely for a series of photos? 56. In the photo, the wildcat's huge paws are clamped onto the side of the white safari jeep in which Chappell was a passenger. Almost as tall as the jeep on her hind legs, she appears to be forcing her muzzle into the back window. 57. The Office of Personnel Management was the target of the attack, but data from nearly every government agency was stolen. U.S. investigators say they believe Chinese hackers were behind the breach. 58. While the Republican field is packed with male candidates, so far, some of the sharpest Clinton critiques have come from women. 59. Global warming is defined as an increase in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. This trend began in the middle of the 20th century and is one of the major environmental concerns of scientists and governmental officials worldwide. The changes in temperature result mostly from the effect of increased concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. 60. As far as politics go, the responses are just as varied. Mitigation is common and calls for a reduction of emissions and less reliance on fossil fuels. Coal-burning power plants are now replaced with hydraulic power plants and electrical cars are replacing some gasoline-efficient cars. Many people, however, feel that this is not enough.